Hi there, it's Sandy, your sister and your friend. Welcome to our YouTube channel. I had a comment from a friend it posted in the comments section for my last video. I want to read that to you. I did answer it, but I wanted to actually make a video response to her question. It was such a good one. Here's her question. How does being aware of pain help us get through pain? It still hurts and traumas are still horrible. It sounds like distancing oneself from the pain internally, but I don't think that's what you mean. Would you elaborate? Um, First of all, yes, we do feel pain in our physical bodies, and we also feel the hurt associated with traumatic experiences. And the suffering that comes from pain and trauma are always experienced in our minds. So, what do we do though with the pain and trauma and suffering? So, we either deal with them when they happen, or we suppress all those things and stuff them into our subconscious. Um, and then those thoughts and feelings that are attached to the hurts and traumas, we turn that into our belief system. So every negative feeling is neatly tucked away in our subconscious mind, just waiting for another opportunity to come back up. Our conscious mind links the present moment experience that we're having with all those stored up thoughts and feelings and beliefs. And therefore, whatever we're going through physically is actually intensified with the things that come up and are associated from our past that we haven't dealt with. And they probably don't even really have much to do with what we're actually going through today. But if we take time to look at the stuff, we'll see that it's a false narrative that we've actually created and that we're believing. So that means that's really a mind game. The real you and the real me knows that this is just a trick. I'm going to give you three beliefs that I have held in the past, so you'll kind of see where I'm going with this. I believed I am prone to falling and I will probably break a bone. And that was because I had fallen downstairs, had broken my glasses, and needed stitches here. I had believed, another belief was that someone will attack me when I'm least expecting it. And that came from the trauma of just watching the news of how crime is escalating in the United States. Here's a third one. My trigeminal neuralgia will probably come back. And that was based on the surgeon telling me that it could happen, it could come back. Now, these beliefs caused me to suffer while I believed them, but none of them were actually real. So all of the suffering actually happened in my mind. So to give you some kind of fuller, different explanation of this, I want to share two stories with you. One of them came from Rhonda Byrne's book, The Greatest Secret, and it's the story of Lester Levinson. Lester had a lot of diseases or conditions, and there are so many I'm going to read them to you. He suffered from depression, migraine headaches, gastrointestinal imbalances, jaundice, enlarged liver, kidney stones, spleen trouble, hyperacidity, ulcers that had perforated his stomach and formed lesions, and coronary heart disease. He had developed severe heart problems at just 40 years of age and was given a death sentence by his doctor. The doctor told Lester he could die any day and there was nothing they could do for him. So Lester went home, and first of all, he was terrified by getting a death sentence. And then he decided that if he was going to die anyway, he wanted to look back and figure out why he hadn't been happy for most of his life. And this began the process whereby Lester removed every belief and every suppressed emotion in his body in just 3 months. Rhonda wrote this in her book. With all the negativity gone, the heart condition spontaneously resolved itself, and Lester lived for another 40 years in perfect health and continuous joy. With the removal of all of his beliefs and suppressed emotions, Lester discovered who he really was. So Lester became enlightened over 3 months, and one by one, all of his diseases and conditions just magically disappeared by what he called the method. Now, one of his students now has that. Lester passed away, so it's called the Sedona Method. I don't know anything about it, but I'll put a link to their website down below. This is what Lester had to say about what he did. He said, I was letting go and undoing the hell I had created by squaring all with love, trying to love rather than trying to be loved, and by taking responsibility for all that was happening to me, Finding my subconscious thought and correcting it, I became freer and freer, happier and happier. So Lester simply became aware. He rested in awareness and waited to see what came up in his mind. And when a thought came up, he just took responsibility for looking at it, and he exposed his thoughts and beliefs to the light. He didn't let those thoughts and feelings go back into his subconscious mind to come back up again. So in that way, he disposed of all of them, all these things that were harming him and probably weren't even his to begin with. Our negative belief system usually comes from what we've been told by our family or our culture. Now, as Lester began to let go of all of his false beliefs, natural healing began in his body. So as we enter the rest of identifying ourselves with our Creator and not with our false belief system, chemicals are released in our body that actually help to recalibrate our brain and our body. This is a natural healing process, and I'll share more about it as I research it out and share in a future video. So that's Lester's story. The next story I want to share with you is my own personal story so far. I have a family history of diabetes, major and minor strokes, kidney disease, dementia, and cancer. Personally, I've had multiple surgeries, including an appendectomy, a tonsillectomy, bilateral knee tendon reattachments, and microsurgery for trigeminal neuralgia. The most painful and debilitating of all these things was the neuralgia. It's commonly called the suicide disease because people have been known to have all their teeth pulled out or actually to commit suicide due to the excruciating pain. The medicine that was supposed to control, which it didn't do a very good job of, the pain events, it was so strong that during the time I was taking it, I could no longer drive, I couldn't watch TV, I couldn't read a book. I could only eat bland foods served at room temperature. Doctors told me that the trigeminal neuralgia could reoccur, and the orthopedist told me that I was facing a lifetime of severe osteoarthritis due to my knee surgeries. Now, in January of 2021, I enrolled in the Yahweh to Face Academy where St. Omo teaches. In one of the classes, St. Omo called us ageless wonders, which I loved. He said that we were never born and will never die. We're eternal. Now, I really took that description of myself to heart. I agreed with St. Omo that the real me can never die. And I took it a little bit further. I decided that I was going to not make any agreements with death. That life and love were going to be the core beliefs, and that's all I was going to believe. And since death is the last enemy and Jesus overcame death on the cross, I decided that I didn't even have to die physically. So by not agreeing with physical death, I pictured myself rising above every possible disease and frailty that many people associate with older age. I saw myself as having vitality and being able to do everything physically that I ever wanted to do and not suffering any mental decline. I only see pleasure and prosperity and joy and happiness and contentment as possibilities in my life. That's how I wake up every morning, is I see that. I'm a very healthy person. I've lived 72 years so far on the earth. I take no prescription medication. I lift weights and I can walk for as far as I want to without any pain. What I picture in my mind, I plant that feeling in my heart and then it manifests in my life. By forming a new belief, I dismissed all the old beliefs that my family history, my doctor's diagnosis, or just thoughts about old age. I dissolved all those. They didn't have any power over me anymore. That didn't really require much work because my positive beliefs were so strong. The late Adrian Rogers once said, I'm not always what I think, but I am. I'm not always what I think I am, but I am what I think. So as I learn to stay in awareness or as awareness while I live on the earth, I'm ridding my soul of all attachments and false beliefs. This can be a hard thing to do if we think that we're having to do it by ourselves, but we're not alone. In awareness, we are in the source of life as the source of life. It takes courage to face our fears, but the so-called giants in our life, that's the only way to diminish the energy that we have given them, is to face them. See them for what they are, just imaginings of our conscious mind that our subconscious mind is bringing to pass. I was listening to a teaching today by Jordan Peterson, which I'll give the link down below. Jordan quoted Nietzsche as saying that you could tell much about a man's character by how much truth he could tolerate. Now, Jesus said that the truth is the way and the path of life, and no one comes to the Father except by his way, which is Christ consciousness. Jordan agreed and said that you can't manifest who you are without the truth. The pathway to who you are could be, if you were completely who you are, is through the truth. So I'm going to wrap this up with my concluding thoughts about dying. Dying doesn't matter to me now in one way or the other. I don't mind if I die, and I don't mind if I don't die. While I'm alive, I'm enjoying greater enlightenment in God's life as God's life. If I die, my spirit will simply return to God who gave it. So in life or death, I'm just joyfully swimming in the river of infinite love. I hope this encourages you and inspires you to live in awareness. What I shared about Lester and about my life are not unique. God doesn't play favorites among his children. All we have to do is stay in awareness, exposing our false beliefs and believing what we want to see but haven't seen yet. That is how the unseen becomes the seen. So thank you for listening. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button. Share if it ministers to you. I just love being in God's family with you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.